Welcome to CFP. This episode, we are talking about stop shrinking, why playing small is a trauma response, and how we can heal from it. Because this is what we do. We talk about things, but we also heal from them.
Talk about the things, heal from the things.
Yes, yes. So we're going to have a healing conversation for some bold expansion. Lovely Lauren and I are here together, and we know that so many heart-centered souls, empaths, creatives, healers have learned to dim their light just to stay safe. And how many times has that happened in history? But it's also happening now. So if you're listening to this episode and it's resonating, please like, subscribe, and share this content with anyone that you think might be helped. We're really looking for these messages of hope and healing to go viral. And
Yeah.
they're going to go viral with the help of you all. So spread, spread, spread. What are your thoughts, lovely Lauren?
Well, first I want to say peace to the people. Well, you can't see it. Peace to the
Let's try it again.
people. Peace to the people. And yes, right now is a time for us to shine our light brighter than ever before. We are contracting and expanding at the same time. There's a lot going on in this world. And this is the time to work in full on faith and confidence and not fear, for us to connect and commune as one and push messages of love and light and hope. And yes, please share, please join the conversation. We're here to expand. We're here to expand. So ain't nobody dimming lights over here.
Ain't nobody dimming lights. Put on your shades if necessary.
Okay, period.
Yes. Yeah. So, warm welcome to our live listeners on Facebook. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please write them. Sometimes there's some difficulty with the transmission. So, if we don't respond live, we'll respond later. But we want to welcome everyone, those listening live, those listening to the replay. And just remembering our mission at CFP, it's about courage, worthiness, and certainty. So, this episode is going to really address healing and empowerment. That's crafted for empaths, healers, creatives, and heart centered change makers. This title is called Stop Shrinking: Why Playing Small is a Trauma Response. And we're going to talk about our own personal experiences. And I am excited to share that Lauren is going to share one of her empowerment scripts. And I have to tell you, this is groundbreaking. You know, this is another tool you can add to your toolbox, your self care, self growth, self development toolbox. I used it in my quest to stop smoking cannabis. I had been a long time smoker. I'd been smoking since I was 19 years old. Loved it, loved it, loved it. But really, I had a compulsive and obsessive relationship with cannabis. And that kind of relationship for me was abusive. It was abusing myself. And so, with the help of Lauren, Lauren is a behaviorist. She helped create a empowerment script that helped me to understand what my behaviors were and what my new behaviors and my new coping strategies would be. And so it was a short document. We did some tapping also to help, reprogram in these new ideas, these new beliefs that I wanted to absorb. And I tell you, this is a week now. I'm a week free and clear of smoke, and my lungs are clear. I can hold my breath for 2.5 minutes.
That's
I
huge.
know. I know.
Gigi, thank you so much for sharing and giving your testimony. And I'm so proud of you and so excited for all of the things that you'll accomplish with your new goals, meeting your new goals, and your health, pursuing your health, both mentally, physically, and also spiritually. So that's great. We're here to help each other. And Gigi is
Yes.
helping me navigate a lot of change happening in my life using tapping and just being supportive and encouraging, and also shifting my beliefs and thoughts towards seeing my worthiness and just all of the things that are possible for me, especially with making such large changes in my life. So healers need healers is what it comes down to.
Yes, 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 yes. I I think that that couldn't be stressed anymore. And I recognize that this week rather. I'm a healer. I work with a lot of people, but I ran into someone that shook me to the core. And normally, or I had this thought in the back of my head that, oh, as a healer, I have to serve everybody, no
Mhm.
questions asked. And what I've learned this week is that that's not true. I'm not meant to serve everybody. I'm just not meant to serve everybody. And in fact, some people can take you off your healing path if you let them. Not everybody that needs healing really wants healing. There are some parasites out there, and you have to learn whether or not, you have to discern for yourself. Talk to God. Hey, is this person, my assignment? Should I be working with them? But if you feel like, there's something that's just not quite right, you need to, check in with yourself or check in with your support group. I checked in with my support group. I needed support, and they were already helpful, and I got past it, but I got past it through my community.
Yes.
And
Community is so important. So important. And that's when, yeah, when I don't, when you're not able to see yourself or see things clearly, it's okay to extend a hand and ask for support or help. Say, I need some hand holding right now. I need some upliftment.
Mhm,
I need some encouragement, and to reach out to the people who you know have your back, who see the best in you
mhm.
and are there to cheer you on.
Yeah, and to open your mouth, you have to open your mouth.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you, there were times, I almost didn't, because I thought, oh, they're gonna think I am stupid or silly or pick some, fill in the blank. But I'm like, you know what? I can't figure this out myself, and I'm not quite regulated enough to figure it out. So if they think that, so shall it be. But I need support. However
Yeah.
it needs to look, I need support.
Yeah. They, what does it say? Check on your strong friends.
Check on your strong friends. Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah, because they often are trying to hold it together and show up a certain way. So check up on it. My grandmother used to say, "A closed mouth does not get fed."
That part.
Yes, yes,
Hmm.
yes.
Hmm. A closed mouth does not get fed. And I am learning to do the same. So anytime like a friend of mine reaches out and says, I need support, I'm like, okay, we do this. This is okay. And I'm talking to myself, like, we can do the same. We can ask for support. We can ask for help. We can say, I'm not doing okay. I'm not. And to have the safety to do that is so liberating in itself.
Absolutely. But we have to engage it, we have to do that.
Hmm.
Um, so getting into some conversation about what what playing small looks like. In your mind, what are some ways that playing small looks like to you? How have you played small in your life?
Ooh, I would say not seeing myself when we talked about worthiness, that feelings of unworthiness, that feeling of I don't deserve or I don't need or I can't have, not being able to feel safe to speak your mind or share your thoughts or your gifts with someone, downplaying yourself, over apologizing or over explaining, avoiding being seen, not wanting to take on roles because you feel like you can't show up, saying yes when you really want to say no.
Have you done that?
All the time. When we talked about people pleasing, I've been like, okay. And like, oh my God, I'm so tired.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God, I don't have the capacity. Okay. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I just, all the time.
Right.
And especially when it comes to people you care about, not wanting to disappoint them, not wanting to be that person that can't show up or can't do the things, like that in itself is just really, really hard. Really, really hard.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, and it also could look like saying yes when you really want to say no. You know, agreeing to go along with the group because you're scared of the group. And especially now with politics, you know, a lot of people are just going along to get along, but they really don't want, they don't feel a strong alignment in their soul,
Hmm.
you know. And so that's what playing small looks like.
Yeah. People pleasing, playing small, feeling unworthy, saying like my voice doesn't matter. What I think, what I feel doesn't matter.
Yes, yes. And it does.
It does. It,
Right.
or we think we don't have the words, like, or the credentials or whatever it is to have a place or a platform.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So let's talk about let's define playing small as a subconscious survival mechanism because we learned that behavior when we were 0 to 7. You know, we watched our caregivers do it. You know, it's been modeled for us, you know, really, really well. And playing small isn't just a mindset issue. It's often a deeply wired survival response within the nervous system. And I like how you talk about, you know, there's a lot of people out there with dysregulated nervous systems, and you get what you get. You get substance abuse, you get ego-based behavior, you get crime and violence, you get a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you do. It's everybody's walking around with
Yeah, high anxiety.
yes.
Is it a shock? Everyone, you know, so many people are on anti-anxiety meds or depression, you know, antidepressant meds.
Oh my gosh, it's become a normal part of conversation. And I'm appreciative of the fact that people are seeking, some type of help and support and recognizing their anxiety and depression, but it's become normalized in our society. And they're just like, get on pills, go to
Yeah,
therapy. But it's like, that's even with therapy to a certain extent, it's only like addressing part of the problem. Like,
yeah,
our environments, our communities, like we all need to be operating from a place of co-regulation, not survival.
mm,
That's what I really, really, really would like to get a message out about, like with our dealing with a dysregulated nervous system, is we need to co-regulate.
right, right. You know, as a matter of fact, maybe we need to talk about co-regulation in our next one, you know, and provide some specific tools and strategies to do that.
I would love that.
Yeah, I like
Love,
that.
yeah, that's a good pick.
And
um,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so your book, The Boundary Badass,
Yes,
will you talk a little bit about this topic of playing small and being in
yes,
survival mode?
yes, yes. in one of the chapters, we talk about when safety meant silence, self-expression becomes a threat, and depending on, your family of origin, if I think about mine, I often was just quiet. And I grew up hearing it's better to be seen, not heard. Just be quiet and stay, be pretty and off to the corner.
Mhm.
And so it speaks directly to the core of a trauma pattern. And so many people, it's about safety, silence and safety, coexist. You don't want to be yelled at, ridiculed, ignored. And as a result, we find that speaking up becomes scary. We feel unsafe, and it's a holding pattern for how we behave, and it's hard for us to really just speak our truth. And a lot of times people know what their truth is, but because years and years, decades and decades of silencing yourself, you can't even find your own truth, and you'll accept the okey doke because
Mhm.
you're not even in alignment anymore with who you truly are. So boundary badass, I love that quote. When safety meant silence, self-expression became a threat, and it became a real and meaningful um, behavior pattern of ours. And it's not fair, for our own liberation and freedom, because we're not even in touch with who we are. And often we'll find ourselves, aligning with, um, a dramatic group just because it sounds good, but it
Yeah.
might not feel good.
Mhm. And that goes back to our nervous system. If it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't give you a sense of like security and safety, then you need to really like check and see, is this the person, the place, the space, the energy that I need to be attached to or connected with?
Yes, yes, yes. And let's talk a little bit about how trauma conditions us to dim our light. And so when someone experiences childhood trauma, especially neglect, criticism, rejection, or emotional validation, their nervous system becomes hyper aware of threats. They start looking for threats, even
Mhm.
when no threats exist.
Mhm.
And these are really subconscious responses. And so sometimes you might even feel it, that when you meet somebody, you can feel the wall go up, bzz, because your unconscious is like, oh, that person's a threat. I'm going to be on hyper alert because they remind me of somebody. And when that happened, I've got to be on my P's and Q's to watch. And so it's looking for trouble. That reticular activation system, when it starts looking for something, it's going to find it. It's going to find it, even if it has to manufacture it.
Well, let's talk about trauma too. Some of us automatically will attach to or gravitate towards things that completely attack our nervous system because it feels familiar. So even
Yes.
bad for us, we'll
Yeah.
still be like, this is familiar. Let's
Yeah.
closer, especially in relationship. When
Mm,
we're used to rejection, when we're used to abuse, when we're used to being made to feel small, we'll gravitate towards it anyway because it's familiar.
yeah. Yeah.
Reinforce
Yeah.
is part of
And
our.
it's sexy.
Ooh, yeah,
Oh,
like oh my gosh, let's not even go in my 20s. Oh my god, my teens and my 20s. Oh my god.
yeah. And it's intoxicating. It's intoxicatingly sexy. And I used to think, oh, I'm in love. Whoa, man.
Watching, what is the show we watch? Love After Lockup.
Love after lockup. Mm, I love that show. That's just one of my guilty pleasures. But you can see it
From miles away, not even a
miles away.
mile.
Yeah. And
You're
it's
like
mostly women looking for these guys, but all you got to do is look back at the parents and the grandparents, and they did the same thing.
the men too. The men
Men too.
men
Yes.
guilty. And it's like, here they are playing out the same story over
Yeah,
and expecting a different outcome, which is
exactly.
the definition of insanity.
Exactly.
So we put ourselves in these insane stories, expecting things to in a happily ever after, and it's just like, yeah, all the flags were there, all of them, all of them.
Yeah, and you know, it's so interesting because when I reflect back on my experiences and I think back, was I even aware? And I wasn't. I really was unconscious. I was just unconscious to all of that.
Mm,
Isn't that interesting how that can play out?
yes, but what one of my best friends said is thank God for breakups because yeah, like that. I I think the universe had our backs in a lot of ways. Like we had to go through it, but we got through it, and thank God for that. And here we are to like talk with others, share with others that like you make mistakes, you learn from them, and you attempt to do better. And sometimes you have to make the same mistake over and over again, but you keep trying
Keep trying.
until you do better. And better
Yes.
is available. Better is better is right around the corner.
Yeah, and I think that's a really important point too, that, failure, I mean, having those experiences is not a problem as long as you keep trying to do something different.
Hmm.
And you just don't stop.
Hmm.
Stop in defeat, saying, "Oh, all people are like this," and or however it plays out in your experience. Let's talk about the trauma response in disguise. I want to talk about the fight, flight, or freeze fawn response in survival. And specifically this people pleasing piece of it as a fawn response, because shrinking is often a mix of freeze and fawn. What are your thoughts on that?
Uh, I think it is wild how our brilliance can feel like a burden. And when we were raised to be not too much, don't be too much, don't be extra. And I especially think that as Black women, we have been caged a lot. And we are now, I mean, like, we can't have an opinion. We have to hold space for others, but taking up space is something that we were taught not to do. Like, you feed others, you care for others, you nurture others, you make others feel safe, you make others feel comfortable. And anything beyond that is like betrayal.
Mhm, mhm. Right. And don't rest. Don't think you should rest.
No,
Mm-mm.
no, or need anything, or
Or
want,
need anything.
don't have any expectations or boundaries. How
Mm-mm.
dare you?
Right. Right.
Hmm. And I've struggled in that because, like, innately, I'll get to a point being like, this is some, and I don't want it. I don't want it. I don't need it. Like, take it back. And then when I do, like, speak my mind or say my piece, there's a sense of empowerment, but it also doesn't feel safe. It feels scary because then you're just like, what if I'm rejected?
Right.
Or I'll be seen as the angry Black woman. That is like a huge fear for me, especially in a predominantly white space at work. Like, there's a lot of messed up stuff that goes on, and I'm like, I can't say anything because then I'll be seen as the angry Black woman.
Right. Right.
I can't have a strong opinion or a strong thought. Yeah, it just makes you feel like, what's the point?
Exactly. Exactly. So let's talk about why visibility feels dangerous in the nervous system. So I want to take what you just said and just dive deeper at that, because I believe at the most basic level, our nervous system's number one job is to protect us from danger the best way it can. Sometimes it looks like self sabotage, but it's really intended to protect us from danger, not just physical danger, but emotional danger and social danger too. And I think emotional danger and social danger might feel bigger because
Oh,
they involve other people.
for sure. Um, for some of us that don't have a lot of community, it just makes it that much harder for us to disrupt things.
Exactly.
We don't
Exactly.
be the disruptor. So then we go into our people pleasing mode, which suppresses a lot of emotions, which then become internalized, which then manifest into like toxic relationships, toxic behaviors and practices, and depression, anxiety. They physically manifest into things where we just don't want to connect anymore because the connections don't feel safe, or we don't feel safe showing up how we really want to show up.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
we become prisoners of our own thoughts and feelings because we're not able to expand or express.
Exactly. And the nervous system, and particularly that amygdala and the autonomous nervous system, it's always scanning for threats in our environment. When we were children, danger didn't always look like violence. Sometimes it was being laughed at when we shared an idea. Sometimes it was about getting in trouble for expressing anger or sadness, feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's being ignored when we needed love or comfort.
Being
Sometimes it's, go ahead,
being rejected.
being rejected, being rejected, or being told, stop showing off when we succeeded, or feeling unsafe in a chaotic or unpredictable environment. So what did our nervous system learn during this process? It learns if I speak up, I might be rejected. If I stand out, I might be hurt. If I shine too brightly, they're going to come after me. So what did we do with that information? So we contract. Our brain developed a protective response, a loving response, because all of this comes out of love. Our brain learned to shrink, it learned to hide, it learned to play small, it learned to be quiet, it learned don't be seen, don't draw any attention to me. Because to the nervous system, being visible meant being vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And who wants that?
Mm-hmm.
But there is good news. There is good news because we know this.
Share the good news, Dr. Gigi.
Wah, wah, wah. And now that we're adults, we can rewire this pattern through tools like emotional tapping and empowerment scripts, somatic healing, breath work, inner child work. We can teach our nervous system something new. And that's the great thing about humans. We can learn and we can unlearn and we can relearn.
And self-expression too. Like I love this era of artists being expressive, being free, um, being bold, being bright. Like we all need to follow that model of just being weird.
Yes, yes. Be yourself.
Be yourself.
Yeah. Be an original.
Yes.
And you're the best at being an original you. So,
Follow.
yeah,
Yeah. Follow a trend for what? Set the trend.
exactly. And so I'm going to invite everyone to take a look at my book, Boundary Badass. because it reminds you that you are not lazy. You're protecting yourself from perceived emotional harm. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just as you would protect an innocent child, sometimes you have to use that same energy to protect yourself.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
So I would say that it is time for our tool time, and we could do some healing. We'll start with some emotional freedom techniques. For those of you new to emotional freedom techniques, I'd like to think of it as a software update for your brain. So just as we reset or update the software when our computer or our phones get really slow and not working well, we can do that with our own brains. When our output is not outputting exactly the way we want, we can change that. And that's what emotional freedom techniques does. It takes you from your current state and it transitions and transforms you to your desired state through a series of affirmations while you're tapping in a loving soft way, one of 9 meridians located through your body. So we're really just telling a story. In this case, we're going to go from shrinking to shining. We're going to build some expansion. We're going to have 2 rounds of tapping. It's going to start with releasing the shrink reflex. And then we're going to expand into boldness. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 is I am already expanded and I'm shining brightly as I can. That would be a 1. 10 is I am completely shrunk. So identify where you sit on that scale. Are you entirely shining or entirely shrunk? 1 is shining, 10 is shrunk. Where are you on that scale right now? Give me your first number. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it. And then after this round of tapping, we're going to see if you're after this round of tapping and the empowerment scripts, we're going to see if your score has gotten lower, and it probably will. Sometimes it'll go up, but all you have to do is do the tapping script and the empowerment script again, and you can start to calm down and have more peace in your life. So are you ready?
Yes, quick question, Dr. Gigi.
Yes.
How often should we be tapping?
It's a great question. So if you're looking for some behavior change and you're conscious about it, I would suggest you do these twice per day, in the morning, as soon as you get up, and right before you go to bed. And that is because your mind is closest to theta when you're out of the sleep cycle, when you're just getting up, and when you're getting ready to go to bed. And then these suggestions are going to adhere to your neurons better because you're in a different brainwave state to allow these ideas to just set firmly so that you can start executing on these new behaviors. And then drink a lot of water, because what EFT is, it's energy healing, and most things energetic require water. Our bodies are mostly water, so drink a lot of water to allow that flow to happen. That's a great question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we're going to move from shrinking to shining. And we're going to start by releasing the shrink reflex. So just do what I do, say what I say. Karate chop point. Even though I've been playing small,
Even though I've been playing small,
even though I learned to shrink to survive,
even though I learned to shrink to survive,
even though visibility felt unsafe,
even though visibility felt unsafe,
I'm open to healing this.
I'm open to healing this.
Eyebrow point. I feel the urge to hide.
I feel the urge to hide.
Side of eye. I'm afraid to be seen.
I'm afraid to be seen.
Under eye. What if they don't like me?
What if they don't like me?
Under nose. What if I fail?
What if I fail?
Under nose. What if I succeed?
What if I succeed?
Collarbone. All this fear in my body.
All this fear in my body.
3 inches below the armpit. I release the need to stay small.
I release the need to stay small.
Top of head. I let go of shrinking.
I let go of shrinking.
Release the tapping. We're going to take a deep conscious breath, inhaling through the nose, visualizing white, peaceful light. Exhaling through the mouth with an audible sigh, everything that is not peace and love. Now we're going to expand into boldness. Karate chop point. Even though boldness felt unsafe before,
Even though boldness felt unsafe before,
I honor my growth and courage.
I honor my growth and courage.
I choose to shine anyway.
I choose to shine anyway.
Eyebrow point. I am safe to take up space.
I am safe to take up space.
Side of eye. It's safe to shine.
It's safe to shine.
Under nose. I get to be big and kind.
I get to be big and kind.
Under nose. My light heals others.
My light heals others.
Under mouth. My visibility is sacred.
My visibility is sacred.
Under nose. I honor my boldness.
I honor my boldness.
3 inches below the armpit. I love my voice.
I love my voice.
Top of head. I am here to be seen.
I am here to be seen.
Butterfly taps on your shoulder. I am no longer shrinking.
I am no longer shrinking.
I rise.
I rise.
Every day in every way.
Every day in every way.
My life gets better and better and better.
My life gets better and better and better.
Release the tapping. We're going to take a deep conscious breath, inhaling through the nose, visualizing white, peaceful light. Exhaling through the mouth with an audible sigh, everything that is not peace and love. How do you feel?
I feel energized.
That's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
I feel
So,
energized.
so that was just a couple rounds of tapping. I encourage you to keep doing that to get your score lower. Well, we're going to do the empowerment script. And so I can't wait to allow Lauren to present the empowerment script.
Yes, I'm excited to expand on what I believe is really important for us, and that's to understand our behaviors and that behavior change is possible. Change is possible. And one of the ways to do it is to be your biggest cheerleader, coach yourself, retrain your thoughts, retrain your emotions, come up with different ways of doing things. And the one of the best ways to do that is by telling yourself a new story.
Mm.
We tell ourselves stories all the time. I can't because of this reason. I'm limited because of this reason. Rewrite your story. And so that's what an empowerment script is for. It's to rewrite your story, for you to tell yourself something new. And when you see it, when you think it, when you believe it, you can create it. And so here we are with the empowerment script. This is an empowerment script to make you feel big when you're used to feeling and playing small. So I invite everyone to just take another cleansing breath through your nose and exhale with an audible sigh. Okay. This is a safe space to be honest with yourself and with your healing. If you've ever felt the need to shrink yourself, to stay quiet when your voice mattered, to let others take the lead, even when you had the answers. If you've ever downplayed your talents, dimmed your light, or hidden your dreams, you are not broken. You are not lazy. You are not weak. You are adapting. You are surviving. And that matters. Playing small is not who you are. It's something you've learned to do to stay safe. When you grew up in environments where being seen, speaking up, or succeeding meant punishment, rejection, or isolation, your nervous system learned to protect you. Maybe you were told you were too much, too loud, too sensitive, too ambitious, too different. Maybe you were expected to make yourself invisible so others could feel more comfortable. So you shrank yourself. You quieted your brilliance. You hid your needs. You made yourself small, not because you wanted to, but because it felt like the only way to survive. That was never your fault. But here's the truth. Are you listening?
I'm listening.
That version of you was wise. That version of you was doing the best they could do with what they knew. And now it's safe to grow. Now it's time to expand. You don't have to apologize for your light. Don't do it. You don't have to minimize your gifts to make others feel more secure. You don't need to explain your worth. You are allowed to take up all the space. You are allowed to succeed. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to want more.
Mm.
Healing means learning that safety can come from within, not just from pleasing others. And every time you choose yourself, even in the smallest way, you're breaking the old rules that never were meant for you. So take up space, speak with your full voice, dream big, shine bright, and grow without guilt. Keep growing. Not because you have to prove anything, not at all, but because you finally remember you were never too much, you were always enough. And I hope that you believe that story and you remember that story and you retell yourself that story over and over again. Thank you.
Wow, that was powerful. Thank you. Thank you, Lauren. So now, on that same scale of 1 to 10, 1 is completely empowered. I've expanded. 10 is I'm in contraction. I'm still playing small. Where are you on that scale?
I started off at a 7 and I feel more like a 4 in
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, I feel good too. And I love I love the empowerment story because the way I use mine too is I just, I've printed it off and I just read it. I read it like, oh, this is what I do now. I don't do the same thing I did yesterday. Instead of turning right, I'm turning left. I'm taking a different direction. And I love that because the story is what I tell myself anyway. But this one gives me more meat to hold on to say, oh yeah, I can be different. And oh yeah, I don't have to hold on to shame and guilt. I wasn't a bad person. I was doing the best that I could.
Mm-hmm,
And now I'm doing better.
mm-hmm. And I
Yeah.
tell ourselves stories all the time. So why not tell yourself one that's just as true, even more
Exactly.
than the one that been taught or sold by the world, by our experiences, by family, by relationships that weren't serving. We can rewrite our story at any time. So that's what an empowerment script is for. I hope that just like the tapping, you do it at least once a day, but twice a day. When you wake up, when you go to bed, love on yourself. Read yourself a bedtime story. I'm everything. I'm a queen. I'm a king. I'm capable.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And parents, These empowerment stories would be great for kids from 0 to 7 because their minds are in theta and everything you tell them is writing to that hard drive of a brain.
Mhm.
So so install, empowering thoughts. Do that. If you want an empowerment script for an issue that you're dealing with, Lauren, how can they? Can you tell our listeners how they can get in touch with you?
Yes. If you would like an empowerment script, would like to have a conversation about behavior change, please reach out to Lauren at tappingwithdrgg.com. You can also just message us on the platforms that we are providing these videos. So, YouTube and also Facebook. I would love to hear from you. We also just appreciate feedback and connecting with the community. So I look forward to doing more of these and receiving feedback and input. Thank you. And Dr. Gigi, can you tell everyone how they can access tapping scripts and also get your book Boundary Badass?
Yes, yes, I would love that. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I will share my screen and do that. Okay, let's see. Let's try that again. Let's see. Okay, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Boundary Badass. So within this,
I see your chat GPT screen.
okay, let's try again. I love Chat GPT.
There we are. There's that beautiful.
Bingo! We've got Boundary Badass. I wanted to share a little bit about that. I wrote Boundary Badass because I learned that boundaries help me, as a person journeying through people pleasing. Boundaries really helped me have more freedom and liberation with myself and others. And so I have compiled my 60 years of wisdom into Boundary Badass. There's a link below. You can buy it. It's only $33.33, but it gives you an opportunity to say no without feeling guilty. And if you're a people pleaser, you know exactly what that's all about. So it'll help you create boundaries at work, in your personal life, in your social life. I strongly encourage you to get it, especially if you're a people pleaser. And another opportunity I'd like to share with you are our landing pages, our funnel landing pages for $197. So if you've been sitting on your gifts and talents, I
Mhm.
say stop that. We can, for just $200, get you a landing page so that you can start selling your products and services and really letting your gifts shine, letting people know that you're available to provide products and services. And it's really important to do that. Um, I'd like to also share with you our Tapping into Prosperity program. It's a 4-week program that starts the first Mondays of every month for about an hour. And what we do is we help you rewrite your money story. We help you identify your limiting beliefs. We use emotional freedom techniques, conscious breath work, a sacred community, and soul aligned coaching with me over the next 4 weeks. And what you get in those 4 weeks is you get an understanding of how to release generational scarcity, those limiting beliefs that really we got from our ancestors that have been passed on. And just like the color of our hair and our skin is passed along that DNA strand, so are themes and patterns of life, generational trauma associated with finances. It all passes through. We talk about things like courage and bravery to be wealthy, to achieve more. There's so many limiting beliefs that really prevent us from embracing true wealth. So we start to help you release those and also release the fear of success, failure, and self-sabotage.
Mm-hmm.
So this week starts, our next cohort begins July the 7th. There's a link below that you can sign up for. Love to see you there. And so I just like to invite the listeners to reflect on one area where they can stop shrinking this week. And, in the comments below, please let us know. What's one area you want to stop shrinking in this week? Or what's one bold thing you can say, do, or believe in starting today?
Do you have one, Dr. Gigi?
Yes, I'm a non-smoker. How about you?
I'm free to create a life without being attached to education.
I love that. Ashe and amen.
Ashe and amen.
Yes.
Abracadabra.
Abracadabra. Yes. What we learned this weekend while we were in Santa Cruz at the Be Love Holistic Freedom Liberation event.
Beautiful event.
It was a beautiful event. We learned the word abracadabra. And I'm going to Google it because I don't quite remember exactly what it was, but I think it was, I say it.
And so it is.
So it is.
I speak it, and it is so.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Kia, for that lovely retreat, the Be Love Holistic retreat. Shout out to her and Be Love Holistic. But abracadabra, we've got the magic, we've got the power.
Yes, yes, yes. And so I speak it, and so it is.
I speak it, and so it is.
Yes. And we have the power to do that.
Yes.
So remember, you are not broken, you're just surviving, but now you're allowed to expand.
And thrive. And
Yes.
thrive. No more survival mode. We're in thrival mode. Is
We're
that
in thrival mode.
thrival mode? Activate thrival mode.
I love that.
Peace and love. Peace and love to everyone out there. Please take care of your nervous systems. Drink lots of water. Connect with those who love and support you. And remember that you can grow and glow. It's okay.
It's okay. It's
It's
okay.
okay.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been another wonderful episode. Thank you, lovely Lauren. We are going to close